a hopefully a page that is get to it is going to be familiar to you. While I get there, please don't hesitate to type some questions into the notification sidebar. That sidebar may be taking up the better part of the right-hand side of your screen. If it is, there's a red block with a white arrow. That red block with white arrow will expand or collapse that notification sidebar against the right-hand side of your screen. When you expand it, you have access to the chat section. You also have access to what we call the material page, where we have links and other items that you can access during this and after the webinar session. Otherwise, go ahead and collapse it against the right-hand side of your screen so you have a better visual picture from the page. The page that we're looking at now is your listed your MLS account. Hopefully this page looks somewhat familiar to you. In that, log into your MLS, Alabama MLS account. Under the Tools section, you're going to see a link to Incident Form. And by clicking on this link, you can log directly into your Incident Form benefit TransactionDesk account. It's called a simple sign-up. When you log into your MLS account, you are logged in seamlessly to your new TransactionDesk member benefit account. No requirements for different username or password. You have logged in once already to get to this area of the MLS account. You use that and log directly into your TransactionDesk account. There are different integrations which we cover in follow-up webinar sessions, but mainly what we call one click is actually transaction file right from the MLS detail page. So it is intended to follow up with the next webinar session. Incident Form. If you click there for the first time on a simulated click, you're going to be directed to log into your TransactionDesk account. All of your MLS content is coming with that. Your name, the office that you're associated with, your email address, your phone number, and so forth. All that content from your MLS account is going to be used to populate your TransactionDesk account. Now, there are no proprietary requirements for software to install on your computer, but we do support specific internet software. So we have some browsing requirements and some other features. And that's the first thing you're going to go to. When you log in the first time, the first section you go to, we call the pre-flight system check. Make sure that you are browsing on preferred browser and have Adobe Acrobat installed on your computer and so forth. So that's what we call the pre-flight system check. And the first one, I'm going to point out, you don't listen to this right here in front of my face, is the Popup Blocker. You're going to want to allow pop-ups from TransactionDesk. Allow pop-ups from our site for page prompts and for calendar icons and calendar tickers and things like that. So opportunity.
Did a whole lot of talking with not much hearing, so I apologize for that. Kind of start over here a little bit, I guess, just to point out what I was speaking to in West Alabama. The tools, this is where you're going to access your account. That was a single sign-on link, so that's what I was referring to here, single sign-on to your new TransactionDesk member benefit account. This is how you're going to access it. Your new member benefit account, this integrations went live today, so you have access to these today. When you log into your MLS account, under that Tools section, Incident Forms, opportunity to access, seamlessly access your new member benefit, your TransactionDesk member benefit. When you click there on Incident Forms, it's going to take you to this login sequence. First is the pre-flight system check, which is going to make sure that you have some internet requirements set. No requirements for proprietary software. No Incident Forms proprietary software or TransactionDesk, but some Internet requirements. One, when you are using a Windows-based computer, Windows PC, if you will, you want to be using either Internet Explorer or Firefox browser. Those are the two that we officially support. You can get by using Chrome, but there are some little hiccups in there. But otherwise, it is a usable browser, but it's not officially supported. So Internet Explorer and Firefox for PC, as well Mac compatible on Safari browser, and not just Safari browser on your Mac, laptop, or desktop, but also on your iPad, your iPad 2. You can use Safari browser to access your TransactionDesk accounts. The other feature here is the Popup Blocker. You're going to want to allow pop-ups from TransactionDesk for calendar icons, for save prompts, and for messaging throughout the program. So please do allow pop-ups from TransactionDesk. And I'm going to go ahead and close this pop-up and speak to these green arrow check marks. Because my computer is set up with all these and meet all these internet requirements, I have green checks. If you do not, you're going to receive a red X. You're going to see a red X there by that feature with instructions and links on how to install that feature or how to set the appropriate settings for pop-ups and cookies and so forth. Adobe plugin is still a requirement to have Adobe Acrobat Reader installed on your computer, primary PDF viewer. It's getting less and less of a requirement, though. We are moving away from Adobe. So if you are using Google Chrome or if you are using a tablet PC, the Forms edit mode may look a little bit different, but otherwise available through all the different internet devices. But good practice to have Adobe Acrobat Reader installed on your computer as the primary PDF reader, as our forms are based on Adobe technologies. Clicking here to continue. Top right corner, click on Continue. Final step of getting logged in for the first time will be setting your time zone, which I think we can change that to Central, and reading the Terms of Service. So read through the Terms of Service. Once you get through using or reading that Terms of Service, go ahead and accept to move forward and utilize your new member benefit, TransactionDesk. Clicking on that Continue button in the bottom right-hand corner, we're now logging in to our TransactionDesk account. This is TransactionDesk Pro. We're actually going to cover the Lite View today, but probably just as well to speak to it. You have one account. You have one TransactionDesk member benefit account. But TransactionDesk has many features and many services to offer. So we start out Lite, and then we'll come back into the Pro. Pro has all of the features and benefits of TransactionDesk. Pro View, we're going to go over to Lite, TransactionDesk Lite View, top right corner, just switching the view. The Lite is less is more approach. It's the most commonly used features of getting logged in, printing a blank form, setting up a transaction file, using those features to manage the sale process online. The Pro View has all of the transaction management, task management, and document management, and faxing, and it can somewhat be overwhelming if you're not if this is your first kind of foray into online transaction management. Because there's so many choices, it can become a little bit overwhelming. So Lite View starts you off kind of baby steps in to get started. Creating files, uploading forms and documents, and then when you're ready to continue to add services, then you transition over to the Pro View. Same account, same content, same everything, except more features. So Lite View, TransactionDesk, and this is typically the view that you'll log into the first time. I had logged in once previously, and so that's why I went back to the Pro. But when you log in for the first time, you'll come to this page, and then you can toggle over to the Pro View if you choose to. Otherwise, Lite View, four big bullet points, and that's really what they are. And we're going to start at the left and talk about forms. I'm going to talk about it by clicking on it. Clicking on Forms. This is the Forms Library view, where we can have access to all the local and state forms online, alphabetical order, is how it's predominantly displayed. We can choose how many per page we see, so I'll open it up to 50. 50 returns in alphabetical order. So your forms view, state forms, local association forms, if your broker's participating, custom office forms. So all of the forms available in one form library. This is the form library view, so we just see all the forms. We can print blank forms and type up one form at a time, and we'll kind of show that here. But it's why we focus on transaction files, to create entire form packets, to autofill forms with contacts and property information. So we're leading up to that. But an essential part of TransactionDesk, I think, and any provider, is being able to access that one form, print it out, and go meet with that client to get signatures, ink signatures on paper pages, if you will. Library view, top shading to the left there, you can search for forms by unique name or identifier. Otherwise, like I said, they are just in alphabetical order. Any folders, so you can filter them by folders. If there's a particular folder that you want to look in for a particular form, you certainly can filter by folders or by unique searches. Once you find the form, I'm going to choose this buyer agency agreement. It looks like a good form to me. If I just want to print it out, same column, blue bullet point, print the blank form. That's a printer icon. If I click there, it's going to generate an Adobe Acrobat PDF copy of that form. It's non-fillable. I can't type it up now. I'm just going to print it. Perhaps I just want to print out a copy or two to have in my desk because it's what I've always done. So that's fine. Print a few out. We are going to right-click on the contract name to open the print menu. So little instruction there. In the top left corner, right-click the document below to print. So I always just encourage you to just click on the title of the form name. There are two buttons on your mouse, and this is when you get to use the right mouse button. And by clicking that right mouse button, it's going to yield this additional menu so that you can print that form to paper. If you're on a Mac, simply double-click on the contract name, and it's going to yield this this menu so that you can print it to paper, have some paper copies to put in your paper folders or other desk drawer. That's the opportunity to print right from the Forms library view, print that blank form. Otherwise, top right corner, just going to return to the forms. Because hopefully you're here for more than just figuring out how to print a blank form. But same form, buyer agency agreement. From here on, I just like to click on the form name itself. The print feature from that column, but otherwise I'm just going to click on the form name. And it's going to show me this form, any history I have with this form, opportunities to create new copies of this form. And that's what I want to do now. I have 0 saved. I've never typed up this form previously. I would like to do that. And if there is one phrase, one thing I would like you to remember, you can shut down from here on out this phrase, I would like to. It is a very consistent phrase throughout your TransactionDesk accounts, both Lite View and Pro View and all the different views that there are into your online accounts. You're going to see this phrase, and every time you see it, and I did just say always, you're going to see these drop-down triangles. And by clicking on them, it's going to yield menus. And I know it didn't yield many this time, but it will. Once we create more forms, we'll have more menu options. But always keep those two in mind, and when you click on those arrows, it's going to yield additional features. So I would like to create a new form and click on Go. So it's going to be a blank form in Forms Edit mode that I can type up this form. I can deliver this form outbound by print, email, or fax, or digitally. We have digital signature options, not part of your member benefit, but we do have authentisign digital signatures which can be added and integrated into your existing member benefit. But otherwise, this is Forms Editor. And hopefully this gives you some sense of relief that, the forms are the same. They're the same forms you've been using. They're the they're the Alabama forms. They're your local MLS forms. They're your custom broker forms. They're the forms that you've been accustomed to using. It's just a different forms editor, but probably pretty similar, right? There's this fillable fields, and I can, if I hover my mouse on it, it tells me the maximum number of characters and that I can type in the field name. And by clicking there, I would type my buyer's name, which is Phil Phillips, something to that effect. I can use the tab key to go from one fillable field to the next. These are calendar icons. When I click on them, I get a pop-up. There's one reason to add pop-ups to your forms, or excuse me, to your TransactionDesk account. But otherwise, type or paste. There are no restrictions from copying and pasting to complete form fields. Something to that effect. There are no restrictions from copying and pasting to type up or complete these required and optional fields. I'm just going to scroll down a little bit. I don't know how much more content would be required in this form. Termination, sure, we'll put 90 days or something to that effect. And Phil Phillips, something to that. Type it up. Now what do you want to do with it? Now that you have this form typed up, what am I going to do with it? I can save my changes, but I'm going to willfully abstain from that for a moment and keep going up to the left there. File. Maybe now I want to print it. Now I've typed it up. My handwriting's terrible, so now I typed it. Looks nice, neat, professional. Now I print it to paper. Or I export it as a PDF document. Or I save the changes. That's the file drop down. How about send? Maybe I want to deliver it right from here to my client's email address or prospect or to their fax. We'll deliver it outbound via email, select via email. As a PDF attachment by default or as a link. So you're actually sending access to your online form. As a link, do you want your recipient to be able to make changes? You decide. Features are available to you. You decide how you want to deliver this form. If you'd like it to be fillable, send it as a link and allow them to make changes. If it's the craziest thing you've ever heard, don't send it that way. And just add Phil, his email address, any message, carbon copy, blind copy, please review, call with questions. Do you want to send a fax back cover sheet? For the sake of argument, yes we do. And I'm going to click send email. And why am I sending a fax back cover sheet? Well, because it may be that Phil is going to receive this email. He's going to print it. He's going to open the attachment or form. He's going to print it out, and he's going to need to deliver it back to me. Fax back cover sheet is a way he can do that, and we'll talk about those as we go through this demonstration. It's been queued for email, delivering that typed up form outbound. What other things can we do? Format. This is Forms Editor, just to kind of give you another quick rundown of just Forms Editor. File was exporting to PDF or saving or printing. Send was delivering outbound via email or fax. And you don't need to be within 1,000 miles of a fax. You are, or even email. You are instructing TransactionDesk to complete these actions for you. We are receiving the request. We are completing the request. We're emailing you notifications that the request has been completed, all in real time and real fast. So format. You can update the fillable fields, font, style, color, and size. You can change that font, style, color, and size for any fillable field. You can change casing, title marks, watermarks, all kinds of font related within Forms Editor. View, to zoom in on the page, or to go to a particular page, you can use the view. Transaction is if you wanted to turn this individual library form into a transaction file. You can use this step to start a new transaction based on this particular form. So transaction. Insert. Clauses. This is content that you can create, and this kind of leads into our follow-up sessions for building better files, but you can generate content for your account. Clauses being one of those content features. So when you have a standard provision that you want to paste in, or you have a specific sales situation that you have written up a clause or provision for. You first create the clause, and then you can paste it into your form right from Forms Editor. Last feature there in Forms Editor is Help. In Help, we do have online tutorial-based screenshots, Captivate videos, and instructions on how to complete specific actions, as well as live support, which is toll-free, it's email, it's tech chat, and it's immediate support feedback opportunities. We'll talk more about that as we go through these demonstrations, but all of that available to you right from the Forms Edit mode. We can even just right-click now on this form to print it out. So Form, right mouse button to print. However we want to deliver it outbound. Otherwise, I'm going to exit now. I'm exiting from Form Editor, and we'll see Form Editor again when we're looking at a form within a transaction file. But that was just a quick way to access an individual form, start out right from scratch printing it from blank, or typing it up first and then printing, or emailing, or taking a different delivery approach. But otherwise, here we are again. We can come back to this form at any time, add, update, or revise it. We can rename the form. So let's do that. I'm on the middle right-hand side, kind of has that gear wrench looking icon to it. When I hover, it says Rename Document. So clicking there, and I don't want to change it too much, but you know what? Maybe I'll call it the Phillips, just so I can identify it from any other buyer agency agreements I have typed up at this time. And that little save diskette is going to allow me to save the change to that form name. So I just renamed it to identify it so I can more easily pick it out of the lineup. Otherwise, now let's look at that I would like to menu, because you're probably laughing that there's only one feature in there last time, but what can we do now? Well, we could delete it, we could email it, we could fax it, we can start a transaction from it, we can attach it to an existing file, we could take a lot more actions now that we actually have a form in there. So you're always going to see that drop-down triangle in relation to those I would like to menus. I'm going to click Return. I'm in the middle left-hand side, just above the form name. I'm going to click on Return. It's going to return me back to the Forms Library view. And I want to show you now how you can recognize that where you have and how to re-access those typed up forms. And it looks like it in the little manila folder there. Contains forms. That means I've typed up a version of that online form. As opposed to the broker application form just above it, it says it's empty, merely suggesting that I've never typed up a version of that online form. Now, if there's a limitation of these forms library view, it's that we really work with one form at a time. That is the limitation. One form at a time. We type up one, we print it, email or fax it, and then we go to the next. And I think most realtors realize that that's not really traditionally how you're going to generate. You're going to be generating form packets and creating transaction files to replace those manila folders filled with paper pages with online transaction files filled with digital forms and documents. So click back on Home. When we looked at Forms Library View, I'm going to leapfrog Documents and go to Transactions, because we want to talk about creating a full packet. We want to populate that form packet with our transaction file details and really look to create an online transaction file. Clicking on Transactions, managing many features of the sale process. So let's take a look at it. We have one set up here, so let's just take a peek at it, see the elements of a file, and then we'll create a new one. So let's just so we all get on the same page, test purchase contracts during the demo phase. But this is a transaction file, and hopefully it also emphasizes to you that you can come back to this file at any time. You can update it, revise it, add details to it. You are replacing that vanilla folder. That is primary step here, is that you realize that I'm online managing this file, so I have access to it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from any internet-enabled device. I can type up forms. But not only can I type up forms, I can reload signed contracts, and you can store all these in an online file. Details. And actually, while I'm here, I might, never mind. Details tab. Let me scroll down so you can see the content. Address, city, state, zip, of course, legal descriptions, tax IDs of subdivisions, list price, earnest money, dates. All of these content will autocomplete form fields. So any forms that we attach to this transaction file, these details will auto-populate those fields. Contacts tab. I'm in details. Top left-hand side of the screen, the tabs across the across the top. Details is what we're looking at. Moving to the right, contacts. Contacts to our transactions, buyers, sellers, cooperating agents, loan officers, whomever we would have party to this transaction file, we can add them in as contacts. Contacts will autofill those form fields, which just happens to be the next tab. Forms tab, where we can attach multiple forms to our transaction files. We can auto-populate these forms with our transaction file details. So here's that phrase again. I would like to, just like to point it out, I would like to add new forms. What would I like to do? Email, fax, auto-populate selected forms. It's a feature so nice, I just always got to show it twice. Because you want to make sure that the content that you add to your file is populating your form fields, reducing redundant data entry, reducing time, energy, and effort, and errors and omissions. So auto-populating that content from your files to your forms. Next tab is documents. So maybe the first thing is just make sure everyone feels comfortable with the difference between a form and a document. A form, and this is just TransactionDesk, but a form is online and fillable. Online and fillable access to your forms library. Fillable forms. Documents are really everything else. Documents are the signed, ratified contracts. They are the home inspections and surveys and title commitments and settlement statements and pictures and flyers and all that other documentation that you receive throughout the sale process. That's what documents are. Documents can be uploaded back into your online account. I would like to upload. So if you're scanning to file, or you're saving if you're saving email attachments, you can upload those documents into your online transaction file. Upload documents. And we'll see some of these. I do want to show the fax back cover sheet. Another way that you can get documents back in is by fax. Remember when we sent the email and asked if we wanted to include in a fax back cover sheet? We said, for sake of argument, yes. We do. Well, the fax back cover sheet is just that. It is a cover sheet that will fax documents back to your transaction file. And right out of the box, out of the transaction desk, out of the box, if you will, this fax back cover sheet is offered with a generic toll-free number. So everybody uses the same toll-free number. It's the barcode technology that is unique. The barcode is read by our receiving faxes. Our receiving faxes, based on that barcode, convert the paper fax to a PDF document and then delivers that PDF document to your account all the way down to the specific transaction file. So it becomes very specific through that barcode technology. Basically, turn your fax machines into scanners. Feed your fax machines paper pages, output PDF documents. This output will deliver right back to your online transaction file. Unlimited, toll-free faxing, returning to documents. 4 distinct faxing services. Inbound faxing, that's with the fax back, so you can receive faxes inbound. Any document, completed form that you have online, you can fax outbound. So unlimited outbound faxing. And then 2 other faxing services, email to fax, where you can actually start by composing an email message and delivering a paper fax, as well as fax to email, which is what we call Instanet fax. Start with a paper fax and deliver a PDF document as an email attachment. So different faxing services, part of your member benefit. but document management, unlimited online document storage, and toll-free faxing through your member benefit. Pardon me just for one moment. All right, thank you for that moment. History. The final tab in the transaction file is History. Just want to click on it just to complete the sweep there across the tabs. But essentially, all of the activity that takes place in your online file is captured. It is time and date stamped, who completed the action, and what activity took place. And it may not make a ton of sense right now, but as you go into the Pro View and other add participant access and share and so forth, you can allow lots of people into your transaction file. By default, yourself and your sponsoring broker are the only two people who have access to your transaction files. You can choose to offer additional people access to those files, but by default, yourself and your managing broker. History otherwise captures all of the activity that takes place within your online file. Documents, document management, forms, contacts, and details. These are the features of your transaction files. So let's create one now. Transactions. Middle right-hand side, there's that phrase again, I would like to create a new transaction file, and I'm going to click on the Go arrow. Go arrow is going to allow me to start up a new file. To start a new file and begin adding some content to this new file. So whether you got a buyer or a seller, landlord or tenant, we just want to give that transaction file a name. It is the only required field to give that transaction file a name. This name being, I just can't think right now, so we're going to go Sam Solar. And he's a listing prospect. Because I would suggest to you, encourage you to start your new files at that first substantive conversation. When you get that call for new client or prospect, start that file. Just like you might reach for a manila folder to fill it with paper pages, start your new transaction file. Start filling it with digital forms and documents. From here on out, nothing's required, but we're going to start adding some content to our new file. First, perhaps, what file type? Transaction type we're starting. And we can choose from that list. That's just a generic list. You can add to this list, but just for today's example, we'll choose the generic listing, residential listing type. Do I want to import any data? Do I have an MLS ID that I want to pull in from an old or expired or withdrawn or terminated listing or sold data? Again, these MLS integrations are part of the member benefit. We talk about them in more detail in follow-up webinars, but just know that they're here, that you can import from your MLS property information into your transaction files. And I probably should, so let me choose that one. West Alabama MLS, residential, commercial. Just make sure your property type is going to match up with your MLS ID. And if you bear with me just for a moment here, I'm going to pause my screen. I'm going to go see if I can sneak a MLS ID. This is a great time for questions. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to type them in using that GoToTraining sidebar. It's most likely collapsed against the right-hand side of your screen. But if you expand it, you can type questions, as I am just going to grab an MLS ID here to show off that MLS import. 83574. All right. And this one is 83574. Company logos. We will show at the end how you can add company logos to brand TransactionDesk accounts. We'll speak to those opportunities going forward. So they are an opportunity, and we can talk about that further on through the demonstration. All right, sorry about my screen going crazy there, but a previously recorded webinar just finished converting, so it's naturally wanted to change my screen. So here we are. We're starting a transaction file. Little recap. We've given our transaction file a name. We chose a type, and for this example, we are importing from the MLS to start this new transaction file. We're starting it as we are going to be the listing agent. We could change that, but because we chose residential sale, we could certainly change it to an appropriate other contact type. But for this example, we'll stay with a listing agent. Clicking on the Save Diskette, bottom right side of the screen, saving the new transaction. Reaching out to the MLS, going to grab that MLS ID, with any luck, populate our new file with that MLS content. Then we're going to go through and add additional content to this transaction file. We will autofill our forms with this transaction file detail. So it came through. Get a good sense of what has come through. Good amount of detail: address, city, state, zip, subdivision, parcel ID, legal description, list price, comments, content within our new transaction file. This is my new listing, so at least I'm going to prepare it like it is, but give it a little time here. Pocket listing to make sure the property is ready and I actually secure the listing. But I also just like to show these autofill features. So calendar icons, if I didn't make that clear, these calendar icons, pop-ups, pick dates, times from the calendar. Add the content that you benefit from. None of it's required, but if you know that the property is going to include the storage shed in the backyard, you can type it in here. It will autofill the form fields. Chandelier in the dining room will be excluded. This is just for me to show you autofill, but add the content that you have. Come back at any time, add, update, or revise. Details tab. Moving over to Contacts now. Contacts tab. I haven't saved anything by design here because when I click, do you want to save changes before leaving this page? Yes, I do. So it'll capture my changes, take it to the next page. When I brought in the MLS ID, it also brought in the listing agent broker file there. We'll just go ahead and leave them for this demonstration. Thank them for letting us use their MLS ID. But I would like to add a transaction contact because I want to add my buyer. I want to add my seller. Who's my seller? I want to add a seller contact. That seller being Sam Solar. Maybe Sam lives in the property, so his contact address, city, state will be the same as the property information. Maybe I got his cell phone number and their email address. Typing. There we go. Add the content that we have. Bottom left-hand corner, I would strongly encourage you to add to my contacts, which doesn't become abundantly clear until I tell you that. As I slide over to the bottom right and save this contact, two things are about to happen. When I click Save, two things happen. One, Sam is added to my transaction file. The second is Sam is saved to my contacts database. Your TransactionDesk account comes with a contact database, unlimited storage for prospects and contacts. So we save them there so we can insert them into new files, insert them into outbound email or fax, and generally utilize that contact information throughout our TransactionDesk account. If there are multiple sellers, husbands and wives, brothers and sisters, parents and children, business partners, add them in separately. Add each one separately so that they will auto-complete the printed name fields under the signature lines. Sellers have printed name fields under required signature lines. Buyers have printed name fields under signature lines. In order for each contact to autocomplete those individual printed name fields, add them in separately. Click on the Forms tab. Clicking on Forms tab, moving from left to right, we added some details. We added contacts. Now we want to add the forms. I would like to add new form. Click on the Go arrow. I call it the Go arrow because when you hover your mouse on the arrow, it says Go. I don't know where I'm going, but we're making good time. Clicking the Go arrow will now launch our Forms library, where we have access to all of the forms, state, local, the same forms that we saw in the library view are now available to us through the transaction view. Double-clicking on the folder name, individual forms. Double-clicking on that folder name will expand the folder. What other forms? Maybe we'll go with TAR forms first. Exclusive agreement acceptance, exclusive right to sell property. That looks like a good one. I'm going to select that one. Yeah, I'll select them both. I'm going to press and hold. See at the top here, press and hold Control key and use the mouse. Press and hold this Control key down. Select it with the mouse. Now I can click on the plus sign here to expand these other ones. Residential input sheet. I think I'll need one of those. Press and hold the Control key. Select the additional form. No lead-based paint in this one. Go through. Find all of the forms that you want to work with. Select them. Add selected forms to our transaction file. Imagine there's some type of disclosure form on there that I didn't immediately find, but add in all the forms. Create your form packet, right? Instead of working with one, now we've got at least 3, and if there's more, we can continue to add, and I'll show you another place where we can even add more forms. I would like to. Lite View, I think this is a very important step. I showed it once. Here's the second time. Forms tab. I would like to auto-populate forms. I want to get my transaction file detail into my form fields. I would like to auto-populate forms. Click on the Go arrow. Your forms will be populated with details, dates, and contact information. That is absolutely okay with me. We're going to get an on-screen confirmation that those forms were successfully updated. Reduce time, energy, and effort. Reduce redundant data entry. Clicking on the agreement or exclusive right to sell, clicking on that form name to now launch this form in Forms Edit mode. Now we've seen Forms Editor one other time so far, individual library view. But the Forms Editor, I'm not going to say it's exactly the same, but it's about 96% the same. One major difference is the column here on the left-hand side of the... When I get my left hand from my right hand figured out, I'm going to be a dangerous, dangerous man. On the right-hand side of the screen, column of forms that we've attached to this transaction file so far. Red minus sign to collapse or shrink that column against the right-hand side of the screen so that we have better visual purchase on the form that we're actually working on. That has been auto-populated with some of our transaction or all of our transaction file detail. Pop-up calendars. So we've seen the calendar pop up, right? But nice thing about these, they're also fillable. So I could say to be determined or something. I don't know what you would type in there, but you certainly have that opportunity. It is a fillable field. You can type to add the appropriate detail. But nice features of autofill. A lot of good content, especially that parcel ID. I couldn't imagine if I had to try to type that in every time. But add content, type, or paste. Anything that you can copy to your computer's clipboard, so to speak, you can paste into your form fields. Go through, fill out all of the required and optional fields. Features have auto-populated for us. Complete your form fields. Conventional. Utilize the features of Forms Editor, File, Save, Export, Print, Send. We can still send this individually. What we're going to see now, though, we can start sending as a group, as a form packet, and those features. So we're going to see that. But all of these are the same as Forms Editor, except this one, Transaction. We can access Forms Library. We can add additional forms to our transaction file. To that transaction dropdown, add new forms, we can access the Forms Library and add new forms directly to our transaction file. Nice feature adding them here. They will be auto-populated with the transaction file detail. But all the other drop-down menus are the same. Once you've completed one form, expand that column on the right, expand it to go to the next. Click on the next form. There's our save prompt. We'll always be prompted to save. Right before we go there, do you see there at the bottom, storage shed in the backyard, additional items to remain? All of that content is coming through when we are typing it to our transaction file. Yes, save the changes, go to the next form, type up the next form, complete all the required and optional fields. As we type up them all, we do have access to print selected forms to PDF. For whatever reason, I don't typically choose them from here, but you can see some good content came over from our transaction file. Let me zoom in here. I'm not really zooming in, just shrinking that column. So I just want to point out this little plus sign means that there's more characters in that space than there is spaces. So I could potentially change the format to see for this particular field, format, font. This isn't really what I wanted to show you, but we'll do it anyway. There's two things I could do. I could change it, make it smaller. The other thing I could potentially do is change it to auto size, which will auto size the font to fit automatically. But otherwise, let's just change it. But I don't want to change it for the entire document. I just want to change it for this one field to allow additional characters into that one field by reducing the size of the font to allow all those features to fit. So that's what those little black plus signs mean when they're there next to. It means there's more characters than it would normally allow. So format, font, current field, 8, black, set. And it reduces it to show the additional characters. What I really came in here to show you was this, printed name under the fields. That's why I was saying that when you're adding your contacts, add them in separately so that each will autofill those printed name fields under those signature lines. Save your changes or just exit from Form Editor. If for whatever reason, I typically, yes, I do want to save. I typically generate my form packet here within the Forms tab. Left-hand side, I can select all the forms. That top checkbox will select them all. I don't need them. Yeah, they might want to see that. We'll just choose them all. I would like to drop-down menu. Email them. So this will email out 3 attachments or 3 links, or I can print them to a PDF, which will generate one merged PDF document from the 3 individual forms. I can order them appropriately, so I probably would move that exclusive right to the middle. Use the green arrows to put them into a meaningful sort order. Save our PDF. Bottom right corner, clicking on that Save Diskette. It's going to save. It's going to create a merged PDF document from these 3 individual forms. It will be a non-fillable Adobe Acrobat PDF that I can Email outbound. You might get some pop-ups. This is a Internet Explorer, so I get that pop-up at the bottom of the page too. But I typically just click on the PDF link, click to open the transaction PDF, merged form packet that I can now attach to an outbound email message. I can print to paper. I can take appropriate action to deliver this form to my client for their signatures and initials. You may want to consider Authentisign, integrating our digital product into your account. Otherwise, so that's the PDF. So, and that kind of goes through creating the file, adding content in terms of MLS import for details. We added a contact, we added forms, and then typed up the forms. We then just sent outbound as a PDF. Because that's really where the path starts diverging in the wood, if you will. Because some agents will print it to paper to go sit down at the kitchen table meeting, get ink signatures. Some will email or fax it outbound, that merged packet or those completed forms. You're going to email them or fax them to your client, who will print them, sign them, and scan and email them back to you, or use fax back cover sheets to deliver those faxes directly back to your account. Some of you are already using digital signature technologies, so you can export your packets to PDF and use those existing digital signature technologies, or look at Authentisign, which integrates right into your TransactionDesk accounts. But what do you do next? Now what? How do you get them back in? Now that you have these digital files and documents, how do you get them back in? And that's really where the Documents tab comes in. So when you are receiving them back, you can use the fax cover sheets, deliver these outbound by email, or fax them to people, or include them when you're emailing or faxing. You can always include these cover sheets, just so we can see it again. Because maybe now it makes a little bit more sense that, like, oh, okay, so when I deliver these unsigned packets outbound, or when I go to meet with the client to get their signatures, I can now use these cover sheets to fax the signed one back into my online account to give you access to that stored document. You're going to the cloud. You are moving to the cloud to manage the sale process. So you can access these documents 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so that you can deliver them to lenders and title officers and whomever else would require copies. But fax them in. Barcode technology that converts your paper faxes to PDF documents, delivers those documents right to your online file. You get email notifications when the file is received. Let's do an upload. I would like to upload documents and click on the Go arrow, because this is way if you are scanning. Maybe you're more of a fan of scanning to file than faxing to file. So scan. What can we scan? PDF, DocX, spreadsheets, image files. All types of formatting is supported by TransactionDesk and DocBox. So otherwise, we just click on the blue plus sign, the Add button, and let's just pick one here, PDF document. Double click, adds it to our list. We can continue to add more. Click on Add. We'll get both of these. PDF documents. Now we're ready to upload these documents to our file. Upload the document, bottom right-hand corner. Look, that upward pointing arrow. Because we're going to add these documents back into our online account for long-term state-required retention periods. 3, 5, 7, 10 years, doesn't matter. Once you put them online, they're accessed and available to you from any internet-enabled device 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Managing the sale process online. We'll be very mindful of everybody's time. We're rolling right up to that hour mark, allowing these documents to, I think that independent contractor agreement was a larger file. Probably should have skipped that one, but they'll load up, and once they do, maybe while it goes on here, I'll reload this audio message to start discussing some email addresses and follow-up content you might be interested in. to schedule a webinar session for yourself, your team, your office. They are free. Tungle.me/webinar Greg is our calendar where you can submit requests for specific times and days that are going to be most convenient for yourself and your team and office. They're more interactive, where we can discuss implementation strategies and make sure that everyone is going to get the highest and best use of your new member benefit. This is available today. Unlimited use, TransactionDesk, Incident Forms, DocBox to manage that sale process through the web-based applications. Twitter.com/webinar Greg. If you are on Twitter, always some conversation going on there. YouTube.com/Incident Webinars. Great place for all of our recorded content, everything from a 1 to 5 minute tutorial to a 60-minute full overview session. As we complete these recorded content, we try to post them to YouTube for future reference and access. Otherwise, I do want to add this toll-free support number as well. Make sure everyone has access to that. Toll-free 800-668-8768, and that is sales and support. And that is from Monday through Friday from, this will be Central Time, from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central Time. So just right on cue, you can see right when I finished typing that, behind our audio message here, our documents were uploaded to our transaction file. We now have access to them. Let me minimize this just for a moment, because just to show you that now that they're online, you can email or fax them outbound. We can deliver them to the parties who would benefit from having access or copies of those online documents. But just going back to the Home tab now, going to go back to the Home tab, re-raise this audio message. Be very appreciative of the opportunity to present. Again, this is the essentials of just getting logged in, getting started. We do have follow-up webinar sessions that are going to discuss building better, adding content to your online account, introduction to the Pro View. We will have these follow-up sessions available, but kicking off this week, want to get you in and accessing your new member benefit. And again, just to triple verify, hopefully I'm not causing you too much confusion, but just wanted to, in a recap, point out access to your accounts through your listed MLS accounts, the tools drop-down, Incident Forms. You should be seeing these links now within your MLS account to access your new TransactionDesk member benefit account. So through your MLS account, Incident Forms, to be able to access directly to your TransactionDesk member benefit. With that said, I will remain available for a few minutes to continue answering questions through that GoTo Training sidebar. So if you have them, please do type them in. Otherwise, thank you again for the opportunity to present. And until we webinar again, I hope you have a tremendous, tremendous afternoon.